Welcome back, everybody. It's Bjorn, aka Bjorn to Sell, your trusted guide to real estate here in Minnesota. And maybe you're watching it somewhere else in the Knowledge Applies to you. Who knows? Now, look, I'm a real estate agent. You know that. My job is to help people buy and sell homes. So you might think I always push buying over renting. But here's the thing. My job isn't just about closing deals. It's about making sure that you have the right information to make the best decision for you. And sometimes that means renting is actually better than buying. So today, we're going to break it all down, the pros and cons of renting versus buying, and when it might make more sense to rent instead of jumping into home ownership. If this happens to be your first time here, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of my great real estate tips and advice. Let's jump on in. If I'm being frank, sometimes renting gets a bad reputation, but there are actually some really good reasons why it might be a better choice. First, it gives you some flexibility. If you're someone who moves often for work, or you're not sure where you want to settle down for a longer time period, well, renting lets you pick up and go without a ton of hassle and the hassle of selling your home. Second, the upfront costs are typically way lower. Buying a home comes with a down payment, closing costs, inspections, appraisals, the list goes on. Renting, well, you typically just need the first month's rent and a security deposit, in some cases the last month's rent, and that can be a huge financial difference. Again, we can look at things and weigh that out. Here's another big benefit that you may or may not have thought about. You don't have to worry about maintenance or repairs. When you own a home, if the furnace goes out or the roof leaks, those repairs, well, they come out of your pocket. When you rent, well, that's your landlord's issue to deal with, not yours. Lastly, when you rent, you avoid property taxes and some of the financial risks of home ownership. If the housing market shifts, homeowners could see their home values drop. But you as a renter, well, that doesn't really concern you a ton. You don't have to worry about that. Now let's look at the downsides of renting, because it's not always perfect and there are definitely some, well, I guess drawbacks to consider. The biggest one, well, you're not building equity. When you own a home, part of your mortgage payment goes towards building ownership in something that will hopefully increase in value over time, or appreciate if you want to use the real good term. When you rent, that payment is gone. You're paying for a place to live, but you're not necessarily getting anything back in the long term. Another big downside is rent can and almost certainly will increase. With a fixed rate mortgage, your monthly payment, well, that stays the same. When you rent, landlords can raise your rent when your lease is up, which means your housing costs could keep going up year after year after year. If you've rented long enough, you've experienced that. I can speak from personal experience on that. And lastly, you don't typically have control over the property. If you want to update the kitchen or paint the walls, you need to get that permission slip signed. And if your landlords decide to sell the building, you might have to move, well, whether you want to or not. Now, let's talk about home ownership. There are some big advantages to owning the home, and first off is you're building equity. Instead of paying rent to a landlord, your mortgage payment, well, that goes towards something you actually own. Over time, as your home value increases, you're building wealth. Secondly, it provides stability. With a fixed rate mortgage, your payment, as I mentioned earlier, will stay the same, unlike rent, which we talked about can go up. That means you can better plan your finances and avoid unexpected housing cost increases. And here's another huge benefit. Surprise, surprise. You have full control over your space. You can renovate, decorate, and customize your home however you want. Obviously, if you're in an HOA, exterior stuff, there might be some things you got to figure out there, but I think you get the big point. Generally, you don't have to ask for permission if you own your house. You don't have to worry about whether you have to move because your landlord decides to sell. And lastly, home ownership comes with potential tax benefits. In some cases, homeowners can deduct mortgage, interest, and property taxes, which can help offset some of the cost of buying. These are conversations that you're going to want to have with an accountant or tax professional to get the exact answer on that. Now, the downside of buying the home, well, I want you to think about this before you jump in, because there are some realities of home ownership. First, the upfront costs, well, they're high. To buy a home, as we talked about, you need that down payment, closing costs, and other fees. Even with first-time home buyer programs, it's going to be thousands of dollars up front. Second, you're responsible for all that maintenance and repairs. If the AC goes out in the middle of the summer or you need a new roof, those expenses are on you. I do want to mention some routine maintenance can help you stay ahead of that, and some planning can help avoid those issues or have the capital to deal with them when they come up, but that's for another video. And here's another factor with home ownership: you kind of have less flexibility. If you need to move quickly for work or personal reasons, selling your home can take time and can come with costs like agent commissions and potential market fluctuations. And speaking of market risks, home values can go up, but guess what? They can go down. If something happens and you happen to buy at the wrong time and then you need to sell at a point where the market's kind of down, well, you can do the math and see that could equal a net loss. Not seeing as much of that these days, but it is potential. So when does it actually make sense to rent? Okay, if you're not planning on staying in the same place for 3 to 5 years, that's a good indicator. If you don't have enough savings for a down payment and emergency repairs, that's a good indicator that renting might be better. If you prefer low maintenance living and don't want to deal with the home repairs, guess what? Renting is a very good option. And if the market is unpredictable, you might want to take some time to see how things settle out. Renting can give you financial flexibility and peace of mind, especially if you're not ready for the responsibilities that come with home ownership. So here's a big question: should I rent or should I buy? At the end of the day, it all depends on your financial situation, lifestyle, and your long-term goals. If you want stability, the ability to build wealth, and you're ready for the responsibility, there's a keyword: if you're ready, well, home ownership might be the right move. But if you need that flexibility, you want the lower upfront costs, and you don't want to deal with the maintenance, then maybe you aren't ready to buy, and renting is still a good option. Here's the bottom line: I'm not going to tell you that you have to buy a house. I'm here to make sure you have the information you need to make the best decision for you. If you're not sure which option is right for you, let's sit down, have a cup of coffee, and talk. I can help you weigh out the pros and cons and decide what makes the most sense for your situation. You know how to get a hold of me. You can visit Bjorn to Sell to contact me directly, or you can check out me anywhere on social media at Bjorn to Sell and DM me to reach out. You can also use the comments below and we can get a conversation going. And you know, if buying is in your future, or you just want some more information, in the description below is my home buyer's guide and seller's guide that is packed with tips and tools to help you navigate the process with confidence. Now, I'm going to be back next week with some more information, so make sure you stay tuned and keep your eyes and ears open. And until then, be kind to one another.